วัสดีท่านพิสุนีธรรมนันทานะคะและในโอกาสนี้ค่ะขอเรียนเชิญคุณวราพรช่างสนิทเป็นผู้กล่าวคำแนะนำท่านพิสุนีธรรมนันทาองค์ปฐมของเราในวันนี้ค่ะ
สวัสดีอีกครั้งหนึ่งนะคะก็จริงๆพวกเราต้องลุ้นกันมาตั้งแต่เช้านะคะว่าหลวงแม่ของเรานะคะจะเดินทางมายังไงนะคะเป็นห่วงเรื่องความปลอดภัยมากกว่านะคะแต่ก็ตอนนี้หลวงแม่มาถึงเรียบร้อยแล้วนะคะก็พวกเราก็จะได้ฟังปาฐกถาจากหลวงแม่นะคะแต่ก่อนอื่นขอแนะนำจริงอาจจะไม่ต้องแนะนำหลวงแม่เยอะเพราะว่าหลวงแม่เนี่ยคือเป็นที่รู้จักดีอยู่แล้วนะคะแต่สำหรับเพื่อนชาวต่างชาติหรือว่าเพื่อนคนไทยบางคนที่อาจจะยังไม่ค่อยได้ทราบประวัติหลวงแม่นะคะหลวงแม่ภิกษุณีธรรมนันทานะคะหลวงแม่เป็นอดีตรองศาสตราจารย์นะคะเป็นอาจารย์ง่ายๆนะคะเป็นอาจารย์ประจำภาควิชาปรัชญาและศาสนามหาวิทยาลัยธรรมศาสตร์นะคะแล้วก็หลวงแม่เนี่ยเป็นที่รู้จักกันดีนะคะเป็นคนที่อยู่ในแถวหน้าของกระบวนการเคลื่อนไหวเรื่องศาสนากับผู้หญิงนะคะมายาวนานนะคะแล้วก็หลวงแม่มีงานในการที่ส่งเสริมบทบาทให้ผู้หญิงเนี่ยสามารถเข้าถึงการเรียนรู้ในทางศาสนาแล้วก็ส่งเสริมบทบาทของผู้นำทางศาสนาผู้หญิงนะคะทั้งไม่ใช่เฉพาะศาสนาพุทธนะคะแต่ว่าหลายๆศาสนานะคะก็มีบทบาทในเวทีนานาชาติในเรื่องนี้นะคะในปีพ.ศ. 2544นะคะหลวงแม่ตัดสินใจละชีวิตคฤหัสถ์นะคะละชีวิตการเป็นอาจารย์แล้วก็ท่านได้ไปบรรพชาได้บวชนะคะเป็นสามเณรีในพุทธศาสนานิกายสยามวงศ์ที่ประเทศศรีลังกานะคะแล้วก็ในอีก2 ปีต่อมาก็ได้อุปสมบทเป็นภิกษุณีนะคะในประเทศศรีลังกาเช่นเดียวกันนะคะปัจจุบันเนี่ยหลวงแม่เป็นเจ้าอาวาสอยู่ที่วัดทรงธรรมกัลยาณีนะคะซึ่งเป็นวัดผู้หญิงแห่งแรกในประเทศไทยนะคะอยู่ที่จังหวัดนครปฐมนะคะซึ่งเมื่อเช้าหลวงแม่ก็เดินทางมาจากนครปฐมนะคะแล้วก็หลวงแม่ก็ปฏิบัติกิจในฐานะนักบวชนะคะแล้วก็ยังทำงานส่งเสริมโอกาสของผู้หญิงให้เข้าถึงพื้นที่ทางศาสนานะคะทั้งในทางด้านในแง่ของสังคมแล้วก็จิตวิญญาณอย่างต่อเนื่องนะคะค่ะขอนิมนต์หลวงแม่ค่ะนะคะขอปรบมือด้วยค่ะ
Greetings. As I understand that this is international gathering, so greetings for the 20 participants from abroad, from mostly Asian countries. Please raise your hand. Where are you? Thank you. I should be speaking in Thai because of the majority of the people are Thai, but I choose to speak in English because I think translation from English to Thai is easier than translating from Thai to English. This is just for practical reason. หลวงแม่จะพูดกลับไปกลับมาทั้ง2 ภาษานะคะเพื่อให้เราไม่หลุดประเด็นสำคัญขอบคุณค่ะเล่านิดหนึ่งเพื่อพรบอกให้หลวงแม่เล่านะ9 โมงแล้วยังติดอยู่ที่พงเพชรหรืออะไรสักอย่างหนึ่งนะเส้นแครายค่ะแครายแล้วหลวงแม่ก็นึกแล้วว่าถ้าหากว่าอยู่ตรงนั้นเนี่ยนะคะในรถเก๋งที่แสนสบายเนี่ยจะไม่ถึงที่นี่ก่อน 11 โมงก็เลยลงจากรถบอกว่าลูกขับไปนะไปรับหลวงแม่ที่โรงแรมไมด้าซิตี้นะหลวงแม่จะมารถมอเตอร์ไซค์ so at 9 o'clock I was still on the highway somewhere God knows and I thought I would be here about 11 o'clock and that's not possible to actually to address you so I left the car and then I called a motorcycle I was scared to tell you the truth so I called him my son please go slowly I need to be there but please go slowly and then when we got about halfway my jivara was loosening so I said my dear son please stop on the side then I got down and I tightened up my rope again then I went back to the back seat and I was holding on I said forgive me I'm not supposed to be touching you because I'm ordained monastic female ordained monastic but in this particular case I need to hold on to you when I was holding on to his shoulder it was tightening I thought he was scared because I was holding on to him too tight so this is all about decision making what is more important to come to the meeting of this 150 women is more important then I realized more important than my life I got halfway and I was really scared So I told him, now, go slowly, please go slowly. So talking about feminists making decision of a feminist on a highway in Thailand. I was not negligent to come to you. I knew it's far, so I gave myself 3 hours. I started at 6 o'clock this morning, and I thought for sure I will be here at 8:30 and have very comfortable breakfast and all that. That is all in a dream. So anyway, I got here and I'm very happy, truly happy to be with you, and particularly truly happy to see the faces of the women who have been working on this gender issue for more than 3 decades. I just talked to people upon how come we have been talking about this for so long, and still majority of our people have not really understood anything much about gender, and after 30 years we are still talking about gender as if it just happened today. เราคุยกันเรื่อง gender นะคะคุยกับพี่อวยพรคุยกันมาตั้ง30 ปีแล้วแต่พี่อวยพรยังชวนหลวงแม่มาพูดเรื่อง gender ต่อเลยเนี่ยนะคะรู้สึกว่าเรายังไม่ได้ขยับเคลื่อนไปไหนเลยนะคะสังคมส่วนใหญ่ยังไม่ค่อยได้เข้าใจปัญหานี้สักเท่าไหร่นะประเด็นที่พี่อวยพรให้มาพูดหลวงแม่คิดนะว่าหลวงแม่อยากจะพูดประเด็นว่า feminist movement in religion So the topic that I thought I will be addressing you is a feminist movement in Buddhism, in religion, and particularly in Buddhism, because in this country we have a population of about 67 million, and out of this 67 million, 95% are supposed to be Buddhists. When I say that, this is what you call Buddhist by birth certificate. Yes, they're not quite committed, but when you fill up the form of registration, you need to say what kind of religion. Maybe my parents are Buddhist, so maybe I'm a Buddhist. Okay, just put it Buddhist, and you will find that is true also in your country, that people are not very much committed to religion. In order for you to understand what I'm going to say about the feminist movement in Thailand, I need to give you a little context of Buddhism. In order to appreciate what Buddhism actually uplifted women in Buddhism, you need to have a glimpse of social values in India prior to Buddhism. คนแปลไหวไหมลูกหลวงแม่ไปเร็วหรือเปล่าโอเคนะถ้านั้นเราทำมืออย่างนี้นะคะบอกหลวงแม่ไปเร็วไปนะขอบคุณค่ะ Women are seen, before Buddhism, women were seen as commodity. And this continued on to Thailand and even to Nepal. I just give you an example of in Nepal, very interesting story, but it is a life story of how they actually marry young girls at the age of 8 or 9 years old to a bale fruit. Bale ลูกอะไรลูกมะขวิดแต่งงานลูกสาวไปกับลูกมะขวิดให้ลูกมะขวิดเนี่ยเป็นลูกเขย Why are they doing this? Simply because they are afraid that in case the child grew up, the girl grew up, and maybe she misbehaved, she get pregnant, whatever, the sin would go to the parents. In order for the parents to save themselves from this sinful behavior that might happen in the future, they marry off the daughter to a bale fruit. I said, why bale fruit? I asked very naively, why not banana? Bale is a hard shell, it can stay for a long time. I mean, if she get married to banana or to an orange, it get rotten after a couple of days. So the fact that they have already ritualistically married the daughter to a bale fruit, she's already married off. And then if anything happened after this, the sin does not go back to the parents. You understand that? Now, in Thailand, we have this concept of, we would say that, มีลูกสาวเหมือนกับมีส้วมอยู่หน้าบ้านนะ To have a daughter born to your family, it's like to have a toilet in front of your house. What does it mean? A toilet creates stink, bad smell. Bad smell could come because your daughter misbehaved. Same idea like how the Nepali people married off the daughter to bale fruit. And of course, because women were seen as commodity. Therefore, the husband or the owner, who is the owner? The father, of course, the father when the child is young, and then once married off, then the husband is the owner of the woman. Therefore, in Thailand, you have cases of how the husband could actually, he lost in gambling, and he could trade his wife, he could trade his daughters. You go to see wax museum just outside Thailand, you will see this picture very clearly. It is still portrayed in wax museum, how the husband and the father was gambling, lost in the gamble, and then trade, just call in, pulling the daughter and pushing the wife, to pay off his debts. So then you have the concept of this is a wrong concept หลวงแม่ต้องบอกนะคะว่าความคิดที่ว่ามีลูกชายแล้วแม่จะได้เกาะชายผ้าเหลืองนะคะเป็นความคิดที่ไม่ถูกต้องตามศาสนาพุทธa son once a son is ordained, then a mother could hold on to the rope of the son in order to go to heaven. This is not in Buddhist teaching. Not in Buddhist teaching, but very much believed, very much practiced in Thai society. So I need to correct this understanding. Now Buddhism came into existence, and Buddhism talk about enlightenment is for everyone. Isn't that beautiful? Enlightenment is for everyone. What is this enlightenment? Enlightenment is the highest spiritual goal that a person could achieve. And that is accessible to everyone. เป็นคำสอนที่สวยงามมากนะคะงดงามมากๆเลยว่าไม่ว่าเราจะเป็นผู้หญิงหรือเป็นผู้ชายหรือเป็นตุ๊ดหรือเป็นเกย์หรือเป็นทอมหรือเป็นดีแล้วแต่ที่ลูกจะต่อไปเนี่ยนะคะสามารถที่จะเข้าถึงความหลุดพ้นได้เท่ากันทั้งสิ้นงดงามไหมงดงามไหมคะการบรรลุธรรมไม่ได้อยู่ที่ร่างกายซึ่งเป็นเปลือกนอกการบรรลุธรรมเป็นเรื่องของจิต Enlightenment is the quality of the mind which is free from physical appearance. You could be male, you could be female, you could be between male and female. How many choices that you might have, but the mind can be enlightened, and that is all the same, and all of us have this access to enlightenment. So this is the message from Buddhism, which is so beautiful. It's so beautiful that Buddhism speaks about this. But at the time when I was ordained, the media was trying to push the issue that women must be ordained so that they can be enlightened. No, this is wrong. And ordination is not a guarantee for enlightenment. ตอนที่หลวงแม่บวชหลวงแม่เล่าให้ฟังต่อไปนะคะว่าสื่อเนี่ยพยายามจะทำข่าวว่าต้องให้ผู้หญิงบวชเพราะว่าผู้หญิงบวชแล้วจะได้บรรลุธรรมไม่ใช่นะผู้หญิงไม่ต้องบวชก็บรรลุธรรมได้การบวชไม่ได้เป็นการันตีว่าผู้หญิงจะบรรลุธรรมนะทำความเข้าใจให้ถูกต้องนะคะสร้างความเข้าใจให้ถูกต้องทีนี้ความงามของศาสนาพุทธเมื่อพูดถึงเป้าหมายสูงสุดสามารถจะบรรลุได้เหมือนกันหมด So the highest spiritual goal in Buddhism is accessible to everyone. That's why Buddhism stands out, as a world religion because it does not bar anyone away from this path to enlightenment. And when the Buddha actually established fourfold Buddhist ภาษาไทยเรียกว่าพุทธบริษัทสี่ The bhikkhus, the monks, the nuns, and then laymen and laywomen, all equal share, 25% share in this big company. นะ It's very important that you have this. ชาวพุทธต้องเข้าใจนะคะว่าพุทธบริษัทสี่นี้เป็นสี่ส่วนเท่าๆกันนะคะ Each one of us is shareholder. We hold on to 25% of this share of this company. What is this company? Buddhism. So when we understand this, then you have equal right. Now talking about right, equal right to religion. Women unordained, women ordained have equal share of responsibility. Before you talk about rights, we have to talk about responsibility. People tend to talk about rights, claiming for the right, but not much about responsibility. So this is very important. เวลาที่เราบอกว่าเรามีสิทธิ์เท่ากันนะหลวงแม่อยากจะเน้นว่าเรามีความรับผิดชอบเท่ากันด้วยสิทธิ์มันจะเกิดจากความรับผิดชอบถ้าเราเรียกร้องแต่สิทธิ์ แล้วก็ไม่มีความรับผิดชอบที่จะทำอะไรอย่าเรียกร้องนะประเด็นนี้ต้องให้ชัดนะคะประเด็นผู้หญิงเนี่ยคนเขามักจะผลักดันให้เราเรียกร้องสิ่งหลวงแม่เรียกร้องความรับผิดชอบ so we have the same responsibility to this what we call Buddhism equal men women ordained unordained same for the ordained women's issue we need to understand that the Buddha established this even before the ordination of women, even before the first woman asked for ordination. Get this right นะคะองค์สมเด็จพระสัมมาสัมพุทธเจ้าท่านตั้งพุทธบริษัท4นะคะก่อนที่จะมีผู้หญิงบวชเพราะฉะนั้นอันนี้สำคัญนะหลายๆคนจะบอกว่าพระพุทธเจ้าไม่อยากให้ผู้หญิงบวชหรอกแล้วให้บวชทำไมต้องรู้จักถามนะคะใครเป็นคนผลักดันให้พระพุทธเจ้าบีบคั้นให้พระพุทธเจ้าบวชผู้หญิงหลายคนจะบอกว่าพระพุทธเจ้าไม่ได้ตั้งใจไม่ได้อยากจะให้ผู้หญิงบวชนะคะแล้วให้บวชทำไมให้บวชทำไมนะคะถ้าหากว่ามันมีประเด็นที่ชัดเจนว่าถ้าผู้หญิงบวชแล้วจะทำให้ศาสนาล่มแล้วให้บวชทำไมนะคะพระพุทธเจ้าไม่ได้คิดอย่างนั้นเลยนะคะตั้งแต่ต้นพระพุทธเจ้าวางฐานของศาสนาพุทธด้วยคน4กลุ่มซึ่งมีความรับผิดชอบและสิทธิหน้าที่ทัดเทียมกันประเด็นสำคัญนะตรงนี้เป็นประเด็นสำคัญมากๆทีนี้ทันทีที่ผู้หญิงเข้ามาบวชนะคะตามเรียกว่าอะไร social expectation according to social expectation in India at that time women always serve men so once when women were ordained again the men expected women to serve them the Buddha was very clear please read Vinaya ให้อ่านในพระวินัยนะคะ very clear that the Buddha made it a point that I allow women to be ordained not to serve the men but for their own spiritual enlightenment there were at least 15 rules that the Buddha set for the monks not to exploit women 15 there are out of 227 there are at least 15 rules สิกขาบทภาษาไทยใช้คำว่าสิกขาบทนะคะ not to prevent the monks to exploit women so beautiful it's so beautiful I give you one example a monk is not to ask a nun to wash his robe very practical now you can actually visualize how the men always are the women in the household always have to serve the men but so when they are ordained again the men would expect them to serve the monks this is not allowed by the Vinaya by the monastic code that the Buddha set down so when we read with this kind of understanding we become very clear that when the Buddha allowed women to join the order it is to allow women to be enlightened to allow women to practice to study to practice and go onward in that spiritual path now I come to the feminist movement in Thailand feminist movement in Thailand when I started about in 1980s those who were feminists were really separating themselves from Buddhism because they have misunderstood that Buddhism is very much how to say suppress women so when the feminists started not even movement one woman here one woman there one woman there but mostly the first group of feminists Thai feminists that I met in this country they don't want to have anything to do with Buddhism I would say in that circle there was myself and there was Oiporn who came from Buddhist background but yet feminist I would like to share with you how I become feminist the very first book I think the first person I met before Buddha of course Buddha was clearly feminist please quote me the Buddha is my first feminist my second feminist is my father when my mother was also ordained and the first time when my father was a politician when the first time when he saw her he bowed to her, literally bowed to her on the ground. He didn't expect that she would be ordained. So, and he was very supportive. He was talking all the time about this, the importance that in Thailand we should have this fourfold Buddhist. And she was doing that. She was fulfilling the second fourfold Buddhist that is missing in Thailand. So he was my second feminist. And then the book that actually converted me to Buddhism is a book by I.B. Honor. Those of you who read Buddhism, of course, will be familiar with this one. The book is Women in Primitive Buddhism. I.B. Honor she was an English woman who studied and translated the text in English from Pali society of old. Something about her writing gave me an impression that when you read the text, when you read religious texts, this is yet another way of looking at it. All the time, when you read a religious text, it's very very patriarchal, and you believe like that, And then people who hand down the teaching to us in our country are all men. So the voice, the Buddhist teaching that comes through to you is nothing but male voice. So that is how it has been accepted and concretized in Thai society. Until I start reading this book by this woman, I see another way of looking, understanding, interpreting the text, Buddhist text from this book. When I read, I was going like this. Also หลวงแม่อ่านหนังสือเล่มนี้นะคะเป็นหนังสือที่ทำให้หลวงแม่เปลี่ยนความคิดว่ามันมีวิธีคิดอีกแบบหนึ่งนะในการที่จะอ่านพระไตรปิฎก So reading this text really gave me a revelation that yes, there is yet another way of looking at Buddhist texts. We cannot take Buddhist texts as it has been traditionally handed down to us anymore. So that was a turning point. That was really a turning point inside my head from that reading. In 1928 in Thailand, 1928. That was the very first wave, I call it first wave, for women to be ordained, wanting to be ordained, express themselves to be ordained. But it had been kind of silenced both by the government as well as by the Sangha, silenced that movement. But at least we saw pictures of women since 1928 who actually put on the robe, who actually shaved the head. It's kind of symbol. You start seeing this as symbol, even though it died out, But it became symbol that those of us who are interested in ordination wanted to get inspiration from them and studied about them. Then it died down for a long time. And then again in 1971, the second wave came into existence. The movement in 1971 is not critical, is not, mind you, is not critical of the Buddhist texts. It's not critical of the Sangha as it is practiced in Thailand, but more asserting women's right and asserting women's responsibility in the robe. So this 1971, that's my mother, my own mother. She was the one who started to receive ordination, the first woman to be ordained in Thailand. But this issue, particularly if you're not from Buddhist context, the issue of ordination in our country, they say that first you have to be ordained by women, chapter of women, at least not 5, and then you're ordained by chapter of monks, at least 5. How can you insist on this when this country never had fully ordained women? So by insisting on it, simply say no, right? The message is simply say no. So that's why we have to go and search for this ordination lineage from outside. In her time, she had to go to Taiwan. And when she came back, she was the only fully ordained woman in Thailand, and she could not start her own community. Because starting a new community of ordained persons, you need to be trained. You need to be trained. And that Chinese, the ordination from Chinese lineage, you have to know Chinese. You have to learn all the liturgy. You have to learn all the rituals in Chinese, which was not possible in my mother's time. This was, I see, as a shortcoming. I have to be critical also of my own mother's movement, that she at least she started a temple for us. So all of you are welcome to come to visit our temple. It is without traffic, you will get there in 1 hour. So not far, just outside Bangkok. So we are thankful to her for starting the temple. At least we have the physical temple for us to continue her work. She could not start the Sangha, could not start the community in her time. Now I talk about another point about this. Since 1980s, that is a time when all religion, Buddhists, Hindus, Christians, Muslims, the academics come together, and very often that we would have meeting together in this country, in that country. I remember one particular meeting was sponsored by Protestants, to meet together, and we learn from each other how we are going to do reading the text again. We call it rereading the text. This is a very crucial, crucial technique to go back to the text, because our suppression, one of our suppressions, come from quoting the text. And the text is ultimate, in all religions, quoting from the text, religious text is always ultimate. You quote, particularly, most crucial of all is Islam. Islam, when you quote Quran, that is the word of God. You don't question the word of God. That is ultimate, Then you come in Christianity. You quote, this is from the text, from the Bible. You don't question the Bible. And also in Buddhism, actually, the Buddha allow us to question, to criticize, but all the Buddhists, all the good Buddhists don't question the Tripitaka. We read the text to understand what is the message underlying all these stories, underlying social context. Which one is the social context that is not necessarily Buddhism? We have to understand that. When you read the Jewish text, you read the Bible, some part of the Bible is very much Jewish context, Jewish social context. When Christ break bread to feed the multitude, 2 loaves of bread and 5 fish, if I'm wrong, correct me. Jesus Christ could feed the multitude, 5,000 men. Children and women not included. You read that? This is very much gender issue that appears in Jewish context and also appears in any religious context, because all the religious texts were recorded by men, for men, with men interest. Yes, so are we going to throw our text? No, we are not going to throw our religious text. But at least when you read the religious text, you read it taking with you a grain of salt. เวลาที่อ่านคัมภีร์พระไตรปิฎกนะคะให้รู้ว่าการเขียนนี้เป็นการเขียนบันทึกจากผู้ชายจากจุดยืนของผู้ชายจากความสำคัญและความสนใจของผู้ชายนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นเราในฐานะที่เป็นส่วนหนึ่งของศาสนานี้จะต้องสามารถอ่านพระไตรปิฎกจากแง่มุมของเราด้วย Therefore my recent book that came out, I think it's out there. It is on her story. Don't talk about history. History is all his story. Yeah, let's talk about her story. So let's talk about story of women, by women, for women. Yes? I think we have a couple of copies outside there. But if you want more, please tell คุณอวยพรwill get the copy for you. This comes out in Thai and in English. It has to come out in both languages to because gender issue cut across, whatever religion. So this movement of 3 religions, 4 religions coming together and learn from each other the technique of rereading the text, very important because it becomes our power. It becomes our power so that you could answer to any claim that always claim to come from the text. You can also quote your own reading to say that your quotation, please go and read the footnote, so to say. Now, it just give you one small example from Buddhist context. This one is very popular one. A woman ordained for 100 years must pay respect to a monk ordained but one day. ภิกษุณีที่บวชมาแล้ว100 ปีนะคะจะต้องให้ความเคารพกับพระภิกษุที่บวชมาเพียง1 วัน Go further and read in the footnote. Something happened later on, and the young bhikkhunis, beautiful, of course, beautiful bhikkhunis, walking on the road, and the monks saw them and wanted to call for their attention. So the monks were whistling and doing all kind of things, to attract the attention of the bhikkhunis, of the fully ordained women, by lifting the robe to show their thighs. So the bhikkhunis said, what to do? We are supposed to bow to them, but look at what they are doing now, whether we should bow to them or not. So the bhikkhunis went back to the Buddha and asked the Buddha what we should do in this particular case. The Buddha then said, if the monks are not behaving worthy of respect, don't pay respect to them. You understand? ที่บอกว่าพระภิกษุณีแม้จะบวชมาแล้ว100 วันก็ตามจะต้องให้ความเคารพกับพระภิกษุที่บวชมาวันเดียวนะคะได้อ่านฟุตโนตดูนะว่าปรากฏว่าพระพุทธเจ้าก็บอกนะว่าถ้าหากว่าพระภิกษุเนี่ยไม่ได้ทำตัวสมควรแก่การกราบไหว้ก็ไม่ต้องกราบไหว้ชัดนะชัดหรือยังนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นก็ไม่ต้องไปฟังคำสั่งชนิดที่ blindfolded นะคะปิดตาแล้วก็เดินตามไปเราก็จะเกิดความฉลาดขึ้นแล้วความฉลาดอำนาจในการต่อรองเกิดอำนาจในการต่อรองอำนาจในการต่อรองมาจากอำนาจที่เกิดจากความเข้าใจในตำราจริงๆ so you really have to read the text and this becomes your power of understanding, power of getting close to the spirit of the founder of your religion. In my religion, it's the Buddha. In your religion, you could go back to Christ, you could go back to Nabi Muhammad. Yes, very important that we must have the text as our background. หลังจากที่หลวงแม่บวช so then I come back to my ordination. I chose to be ordained in the year 2001. I already decided to be ordained since the year 2000. 2000, when we were approaching the year 2000, everyone was talking about this new millennium. So I need to do something with this new millennium in my life, to draw the line that I did something really great. I made a decision on the year 2000 to be ordained. And then I start honing my lifestyle, narrowing down all my interests to this particular topic. Then when I was ready, I was ordained in the year 2001. By that time, Sri Lanka already started ordination. Anyone from Sri Lanka? So I went to Sri Lanka to receive ordination. Why don't I go to Taiwan? My mother still told me, you should go to Taiwan. By that time, Sri Lanka was already starting giving ordination to women. I chose Sri Lanka because Sri Lanka and Thailand, we followed the same tradition, that is Theravada tradition. If you go to Taiwan, that would be Mahayana. ถ้าหากว่าไปบวชที่ไต้หวันก็จะเป็นมหายานใช่ไหมคะกลับมาเมืองไทยก็บอกว่าโอ้แจ็คจีนไปบวชมาจากเมืองจีนอะไรอย่างเงี้ยนะคะก็จะไม่สามารถที่จะ blend in ไม่สามารถที่จะสานกันกับสังคมไทยได้และที่สำคัญก็คือว่าตอนนั้นนะหลวงแม่ก็แก่เยอะแล้วนะลูกนะเอาไปเรียนภาษาจีนใหม่เนี่ยโอ้โหเป็นสวดเกิดอะไรภาษาจีนนะทำพิธีอะไรทำไม่เป็นแล้วนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นใกล้ที่สุดคือไปบวชจากศรีลังกานะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตเหมือนกันนะคะสุนาตุเมภิกขุนีสังโฆเหมือนกัน นะคะสวดเหมือนกัน I chose Sri Lanka because it is close to our tradition and the recitation in Pali same language so I could actually learn to do the rituals in the same way as Sri Lanka and that is an opening I have to stop at 11 o'clock who is controlling the time ค่ะ11 โมงใช่ไหมลูกค่ะสามารถyes I have to do it within 5 minutes I meant for you to ask question but I could stay until I don't know whether you have a workshop afterwards I very much care for the audience to be able to ask questions now after my ordination one woman stepping out I didn't call ordination. I said I changed my hairstyle. How do you like that? I changed my hairstyle. With this hairstyle, I could ride on any motorcycle without being scared that the hairstyle would get messed up, So many theses. Many people write their master thesis, PhD thesis, including Varapon. Where is Varapon? Varapon, our MC. Varapon also wrote her thesis focusing on ordination of women. Something like 10 theses came out after my ordination. And Puripon would tell you, her book on women got stuck with the publishing house for 4 years. Only after my ordination, then they chose to publish her book. You see, so many good things happen after the ordination. Now, after 12 years, very happy to report, now we have women ordained more than 100. I would say about 100 fully ordained, and I myself have been giving lower ordination novice more than 300 now. So in 1 year we organize temporary ordination twice a year, and more women came. Among you, there are some of you who came to be ordained. My first batch sitting in the back, Jitima was ordained in the first batch. So this is. Women always seek for religious comfort for a long time, but we are not having that. And with the opening of this new millennium, women were ordained. Then it opened up the space for women in religion. I started with talking about ordination of women, which you might think that is very particular. Now I'm broadening the issues to show you that actually it paved the way for women to have their own space in religion. So now I put two poles together, feminism on one side and religion on one side. I myself, as a feminist, as a Buddhist scholar, turned feminist. หลวงแม่ต้องบอกว่าหลวงแม่ก่อนอื่นหลวงแม่เป็นนักวิชาการทางศาสนานะคะแล้วก็มาเป็นเฟมินิสต์ทีหลังสองอย่างเนี่ยจะให้พลังกับเรามากเลย I learned to love with knowing with this weapon. She really loved from her guts, I think we should learn to love from your guts. It is a release of all the suppression that you have been having through your life and through your previous lives. You really must be able to love. And every time when you laugh, there is that energy that is you are creating in the space that women can share together. And of course, through Buddhism, you learn to let go, not holding to yourself as, in the beginning every time when I talk about ordination, even before my ordination, every time when I talk about ordination and someone raised their hand and not agreeing with you, my face would turn red. I could feel it, I could feel it that the blood pressure was coming up like that, It is very much my topic, don't you dare to touch, that kind of attitude. Now, after some time, then you start laughing, then you start letting go, and you start feeling really happy. So to be a feminist, you must be a happy being. not as suppressed women. Please, we are an enlightened being, not spiritually, at least in the way you laugh, you know. You can laugh, you can be joyful. Buddhism, religion, gives you such a root. You have to have religion because religion provides you with a very strong root to balance yourself emotionally. Yes, so both sides, feminism on one way and religion on another way, actually make you whole, make you uphold, make you wholesome คำว่ากุศลนะคะภาษาอังกฤษใช้คำว่า wholesome แปลว่ากุศล wholesome being. Yes, so be a good feminist, be a good Buddhist, be a good Christian, be a good Muslim. But at the same time, also be a good feminist together. So you can actually put two together, and you really feel that you are liberated from all the social norms that put you women in that box. You know, come out of the box. What's wrong with you? Come out of the box and go beyond the box. Go beyond the box and really be joyful for your existence. This existence, be happy for being a woman. A woman is a wonderful being. Yes, a woman is a wonderful being. The best experience as a woman that I experience is to give birth. To be able to give birth, to be able to bring a new life to this world, to enjoy the world. Now those who are not married, I'm not suggesting that you should go and get pregnant. You can actually bring projects into this new birth, you know, the project that is meaningful to society into the world. You know? So be good Buddhists, be good feminists, be good Christians, Muslims, and I truly pray that this gathering is, how to say, an enlightened gathering to lift you up from where you are, and so that you do have strength to spread to the larger circle. Thank you.
Actually, in Thai, we have to say "Sadhu." Thank you. คนไทยเวลาพระเทศเสร็จเราบอกสาธุนะคะแต่ไม่เป็นไรค่ะแม่เป็นเฟมินิสต์นะคะก็ต้องขอจริงกราบขอบพระคุณหลวงแม่นะคะหลวงแม่เมตตาเรามากนะคะเพราะว่าเราเพิ่งเชิญท่านเมื่อไม่สักอาทิตย์นึงที่ผ่านมานะคะแต่ว่าเราเชิญด้วยความเชื่อมั่นว่าท่านจะมาที่นี่แล้วก็สร้างพลังให้กับเราที่เป็นผู้ฟังนะคะแล้วก็ตอนนี้ตัวฉันเองก็รู้สึกแบบนั้นนะคะรู้สึกว่าจริงฟังท่านมาหลายรอบแล้วแต่ก็รู้สึกว่ามีพลังอยู่นะคะก็ต้องขอบพระคุณท่านนะคะแล้วก็หวังว่าให้พวกเรานะคะใน2 วันนี้และวันต่อๆไปนะคะ be happy อย่างที่ท่านบอกนะคะ